This episode was made possible thanks to generous supporters on Patreon. So how this simple melody works pretty well in two different tempos. To figure out why, watch until the end. In the last episode I revealed the mystery of the toplets, and I said that the next part will be about polyrhythms, and there we go. The word polyrhythm actually consists of two parts, poly and rhythm, as poly is the Greek word for many, whereas rhythm comes from from Greek word rhythmos, which literally means any regular occurring motion and symmetry. And of course, the English word rhythm derives from this Greek word, and this also explains the odd spelling of the English word. So the term polyrhythm means to have two or more regularly occurring motions at the same time. The simplest form of polyrhythm is something that we actually encounter on daily basis, and it's so simple that we don't even think about. It's 2 against 1, and it's when we play one note and we play two notes for the same time. So it's Of course, we can have things like 3 against 1, or 4 against 1. In this video, however, I won't address with these because they're self-explanatory, and I will deal with a little bit more complex stuff that requires actual clarifying. So I will start with 2 against 3, which is something you might encounter quite often both in rock and pop music and metal, and it's quite popular. To construct such thing, we first need to have the fundament of 3 notes, because 2 against 3 means that 3 we will have on the bottom layer, just for easier comprehension, and then on the top layer we will have 2 notes. And this is where the knowledge from the previous episode about toplets comes very handy, because now we know how we can play 2 instead of 3 of the same type of note values, also 3 against 2, 4 against 3, and all kinds of different tuplet options. And in this particular case, we will have a simple bar of 3, 4, and this will be our fundament. So we will have 1, 2, 3, and then on top of that, we will put 2 notes. In this particular case, it will be a crochet doublet, which means that we will play 2 crochets for the time of 3. So, of course, they will be slightly longer. And these 2 crochets on the top layer, we will play by using the top strings, and I'll just play a simple triad. And it will signify this crochet doublet on top. So it will be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And now with the bottom layer of 3 and the top layer of 2, the entire construction sounds as following. And as you recognize, this is exactly what I did in the beginning of the video. And now I am going to explain how exactly it works, that it actually fits pretty well to different tempos. Now, if you tap in sync with the group of 3, it will happen as following. Because we are tapping like. But on the other hand, if we decide to tap along with the 2, then it will be. So now. And now on 2. Now, of course, we need to learn how to play this actually. And to do so, we need to do some analysis and dissection of this thing. So, if we have this notated and we put some helping vertical lines along the whole bar, we will see that it actually forms some sort of grid, which is like having 2 rows of 6 boxes each. And if you haven't skipped math classes, you know that 6 is the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3. And this is the secret to solving polyrhythms in general. Essentially, you pick up 2 random numbers that should represent the 2 rhythmic groups that you're about to combine. You find the lowest common multiple, and it will show you the number of boxes on each row that you need to draw. And then the next step is to fill in dots to actually visualize these rhythms. So if you do this for the example with 2 against 3, then we will have 6 boxes and we will have 3 dots on the bottom. As you can see, they will occupy 2 boxes each. This is important knowledge, pay attention to it. On the top row, we have the 2 notes, the 2 dots, essentially, and they will occupy like 3 boxes each. So now to understand how exactly it works together, we start with the bottom notes and we just vocalize it with some syllables like the ones that I used in the previous videos. So it will be taka, 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 whereas the chords on the top will be taka, ta, taka, ta, taka, ta, taka, ta. And now from this visual perspective, you can actually see that the second chord, which will signify the second beat of the doublet, falls exactly in between the second and the third beat on the bottom layer. So we will have and now the rest is just to play this several times until the entire structure of the polyrhythm as a whole thing becomes familiar to you. And of course, so when you get more familiar with it and comfortable with it, you can start playing it a bit faster, so you will have even better even today I can't speak, even better comprehension of how this entire polyrhythmic construction sounds like. Now, if we want to challenge ourselves a little bit further, we can go into something like 3 against 4, which means that right now we will have to calculate the lowest common multiple of 3 and 4, which is 12. And this means that we will have to draw 12 boxes on each row. And then on the bottom row we will fill in the rhythm of 4, so it will occupy 3 boxes each, and on the top row it will be the rhythm of 3, and it will occupy 4 boxes each. And now we proceed exactly on the same way as we did previously. So we will start with the bottom rhythm, which will be 4 notes. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we will have the top layer, which is the triad, which will play 3. And now when we combine them together, again, make sure that you memorize how the whole structure sounds like, so you can actually utilize it and do something like, I don't know, and whatever you may actually come up with. Of course, we can do vice versa and have 4 against 3, which means that we'll have 3 on the bottom and 4 on the top. And therefore the whole construction will sound like this. And again, try to memorize how this sounds as a whole thing. So now let's get hardcore and do 5 against 3. I know it sounds scary, but bear with me, and using these methodics you will see that it's simple enough so you can even play it today if you just pledge the time to do so. Finding the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5, of course it's 15, and we draw 15 boxes in 2 rows and put the 3 on the bottom, and these 3, each of them will occupy 5 boxes, and on the top layer we will have the 5, and each of these 5, they will occupy 3 boxes each. Now, this will make our life easier if you just count these 5, because they're like triplets occupying 3 boxes each. This is why I said it's remember to pay attention to this thing. If we imagine triplets, it's much easier to count. So if we pay attention how the dots are situated, we can figure out that both start together. And there is this full triplet. Then on the next triplet, on the last note of the second triplet, this is where the second note of the bass line goes. Then we have a free triplet with no bass note. Then on the fourth triplet, on the middle note, we have the last note of the bass line. And at the end, we've got another 3 triplets. So again, we have ta-ka-ta, then ta-ka-ta. Then we've got 3, ta-ka-ta, then we've got ta-ka-ta. And finally, we've got another 3. So it will be as following. I know it's a very complicated thing, but believe me, if you start slow enough and count just the way I explained, you will be able to play this 5 against 3 in no time. Today's exercise for you is to pick up two numbers that will represent a polyrhythm that you like to construct, and then you follow the same methodics that I explained in the video. First, you find the lowest common multiple, then you draw the two rows with the boxes equal to the number that you found out, then put the dots in these boxes to represent the two rhythms that you're going to combine. Then you use some syllables, whatever you feel comfortable with, just to vocalize one of the rhythms, and then you can finger snap, or you can clap or tap or whatever, some noise you can produce just to signify the other layer of the rhythm. And they then do this slowly, count carefully, and gradually you will gain understanding of how this polyrhythm works, and you will, most importantly, memorize how the full construction sounds like. And then when you get familiar with this structure, then apply to some musical context and do whatever type of thing you decide to use. You can do just like I did with the chord, where you can play one of the rhythmic lines with a triad on top and the other rhythmic part with bass line, or you can do some tapping stuff. It's also very interesting, and you can get very creative with it. So just explore that, and let me know in the comments below if this lesson was useful or it was total crap. So that's everything for today's episode. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you find this useful. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any ideas, suggestions, or if you just want to say thank you or hi or whatever. And also, if you like what I do, consider supporting me on Patreon up here or on the links down in the description, where you can get tabs and all kinds of interesting exclusive materials, and membership starts as low as $3 per month. Also, subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell to get informed when I upload new video. See you next time, and remember, practice makes perfect.